What is going on, everyone? Welcome back
Thousand.
to a special podcast, the Shirtless Podcast. Joining
Yeah,
me,
it's cold.
joining me this week once again is Mr. Jason, the always shirtless guy. just the wave. That's all. All
Hello,
right,
team. Chat,
and
what's up?
yeah, chat. What's up? And joining us this week, a legend in the Summit community, one of our great admins who serves us well, Mr. Bertel. The one
Hi
with
there.
the best beard in
I
Summit.
do have arguably the best beard, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
My takes though.
Yeah. You're
You
you're
said
you're
you
you're
said you wanted me to bring the humor. I got some laughs here for everybody. That's what I'm
in store
bringing to
for
the
something.
table.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, let's get into these power rankings. So unfortunately, two of the games were not played. Wawa Warriors versus World Soup Center and Final Boss versus a Thousand Year Dynasty isn't going to be played till tomorrow. So those two games we haven't seen yet. So we made our rankings accordingly. Baruto actually ranked them accordingly to the games played, so I definitely
Very
respect
real,
it.
actually.
But
That's
yeah.
the only thing I did. That's the only thing I did right. I think I bombed this test. I didn't study for the exam.
Oh,
No,
okay,
I studied. I got
okay,
takes.
okay. Gotcha. But yeah, let's get onto this. So starting off in mine, I got Owen Gar and Bron Cena jumping up this week. Owen Gar still one of the best top laners right now, but Bron Cena honestly had a really dominant performance versus David this week. So I wanted to, show his dedication and his work this week, and put him in the elite tier. So good work this week. The Gwen and the Cassante were very clean. Moving on to my top tier, DV, X-Ray, and Juan. David and Juan are just kind of respect picks. They just had bad weeks. I think Juan had some good plays this week. The Cassante was super good, but the Aurora was not it. I would say, in my opinion. And then myself, I had a solid Urgot game, and then I played Shen. So I got
You got
myself
solo
here
both
five.
games.
Okay, whatever,
Doki sold X-ray both games. Just saying.
bro. I don't, dude. Has ignite and exhaust. What do you want me to do?
Just saying. I'm just throwing facts out.
Okay, whatever. Middle tier, Pat Stick, ISO, Banana Berto. Did move Berto because he didn't play this week, so I think this was a fair ranking for him.
Yeah, I was a
Pat,
little bit harsher
Not bad.
than you.
Pat Stick, ISO. Also surprising or kind of surprising me every week with their performances, and they just keep getting better. So I'm happy with it. Oh, ISO finally didn't play Zach for a series, or he played it one game, but he finally he got off the Zach, and the Singed wasn't super great, but the Malphite that was good, and I'll talk about that more tomorrow on the climb. Um, and then Banana, I mean, I didn't really I didn't get to see this game because it wasn't streamed, but
He had a sub. Pretty sure.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
He's
Hey,
against us.
yeah, Banana had a sub, so yep, he's here. And then yep, yep, I'm losing my track. And then my low tier VLN, Asuna, John Die. Doki, VLN, Asuna can be swapped around depending on how Wednesday goes. John Die and Doki are off rolls and struggling in lane change. And yep, that's all I got. I'm gonna send it to Jason first with SpongeBob.
Let's go. Can I just start by saying both of you guys' top lists are fucking absolutely insane. I know Berto's a little mimi, but yours is kind of crazy too. But anyways, obviously Owen hasn't played yet, right? He's gonna play against. Oh, he's playing against Berto. Nice. Hope you have fun with
Hmm.
that. Gar, another strong performance against it's a sub top laner, but probably middle of the pack. Banana did decent. One cake, decent performance. Nothing too crazy to write home about, but still looking pretty strong up there. I wish They like got him on perma tank duty, which I can talk about later when we talk about the teams. But I wish he would play more carries, considering he's like one of the highest elos. But decent performance. Pat Stick, I think, had a really strong performance this week. I think he's been having pretty strong performances back to back weeks. Even if he doesn't always win, overall, like his Orton's definitely something serious and kind of gapped the living fuck out of John Dye. So that dude, his stocks are plummeted. Bron Cena, I mean, I don't know. Saying he like dominated the performance is crazy. I don't think you watched the games. He had a solid showing against DV. This one was kind of hard to really rank considering like just the way the team dynamics are. Like never saw just like infinite pressure. So he kind of like game one on the Gwen, I think it was. He like literally just never had to leave top lane. It was like perma push and it worked out. But against other teams, I don't think that'll work out so well. So this might be a bit of an overcorrection. This might be maybe too high so far, but nevertheless, still very strong showings every week so far in the top lane. EV mediocre week. Just decent top laner. Definitely dropped out of that elite tier we were talking about. Now the elite to or the I wouldn't call it elite, like the high to middle tier from like guard down is getting a little bit blended. Banana wasn't here, but this probably felt right. He just seems like a decent top laner. X-Ray, solid showing on the Urgot. The lane definitely needs work, but overall, not too bad performance. But I think he's in a spot where I think he's clearly performing better than everyone below him. But I haven't seen anything yet to really put him above anyone above him. Asuna hasn't played yet. But he's been doing decent. Berto, I don't think I've seen a full Berto game yet, but he seems all the games like I've kind of seen and the match histories he seemed to be doing fine. Isodak, and then now we're getting to like the low tiers where like, how much can they, what tanks are they gonna play, how much can they not bleed, and they all honestly do decent. Isodak decent, like for what it's worth. VLN decent. Doki, um, I mean I don't know what's up with this dude in the summers, but like I don't know. We gotta talk to him. But John Dye I will say is like the one where he's like I swear he's getting gapped like every other week, like hard gap by someone. So I think if we could just manage to stop, it feels weird putting someone who I think he peaked like D2 down here with like silver
Oh
players,
shit.
but like if we're looking purely at performances, it's pretty ridiculous. What is it? Okay.
I He made the
What's
switch and I forgot to
I made
make
the
it.
swap. I made the swap. It's on
and
me.
you're making extra do all this extra work, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty much it.
buddy.
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, you know what? Never mind.
but just overall, but yeah, if I had to put in tier, let's say Owen, obviously elite, high is now going from like guard to like touching Pat's thick, and then like middle solid is like Pat's thick to Broncina down to like maybe Asuna X-ray, maybe Baratel, and then below that is like where we start bleeding to the lower tiers. Is how I see it.
Fair,
Okay.
fair. All right, Bertel, hit me with this. I
Oh yeah.
at first I didn't
He's cooking
understand it,
something.
but then I
He's
realized
cooking.
how you were
This looks
ranking.
this looks absolutely insane, right? But let me explain. I have reasoning. We've already articulated that two of these games haven't happened, which means that out of every one of these slots, 4 players have yet to be rated. And I can't, in good conscience, on my first time here on Power Rankings, do a meme bit, but then also rank people who didn't even get to play, myself included.
Okay.
That being said, I decided to kind of sort amongst the rest with my own personal
Mm,
takes.
interesting. Okay. Huh.
Guys, Gargur is going Giga mode. Honestly, this guy, I mean, we knew he could play other jungle mid sometimes. He's got a preference towards, but
Yeah,
this
that's gonna
top lane
ask.
dude with the memes, I don't know. I feel like he's really putting himself in a place where he's like silencing a lot of these doubters and naysayers about his skill. And I look forward to see whether or not that's just something that is catching people off guard. You know, maybe we are not used to seeing his particular playstyle on the top lane, and it's a couple moments down the road, and people will try to figure out his style, or if it's just something that time will tell. He's the true top laner instead of these other roles. But the big thing to kind of compliment here for Gar is the fact that not only is he clocking in for the lowest paying job salary wise as a teacher, teaching first grade's gotta suck. And I know the kids in his class,
Got some badass
yikes.
kids.
He's got some badass kids, but they're like starting fires in the trash can. They're pulling the fire
Oh
alarm.
yeah.
Like it's
No, I
not
didn't mean
great.
badass like cool. I mean like bad kids. Like you got some bad kids.
Bad kid.
Like
Yeah,
bad,
troubled
bad. Yeah.
youth. But
Not cool. Bad.
not only is he teaching his first grade class, he's also teaching Summit that this old man still knows a trick or two. speaking of old men, DVP, honestly, from what I've seen, with what I know he does for his team on a consistent basis, when he's given the time, when he's given the ability, this guy is a master strategist. And he's willing to do, I think, one of the most crucial things when it comes to being a top laner. Yeah, you can play top lane carries. That's cool. But everyone knows that being on Ornn duty on repeat is the only way to live. And in order for him to be able to do that, he's got to be pretty good. So I say that he should switch his campaign. I say no longer should he be DV for VP. I think he should be just straight for P.
Okay,
That's
I like
right,
that.
people. Everyone get your votes. Today's the last day to vote. Please vote for him for presence on the map president in the top lane. Please. Moving on. A underscore fucking underscore one underscore fucking underscore cake. God
so long.
damn. This guy's cool as hell. Very humble guy, very knowledgeable, and truthfully, a beast at shoutcasting. If you can get him on the mic, it's going to be a high octane series in terms of the shoutcasting. But beyond that, the dude's also killer at League. You know, it's only sad he won't be able to cast the playoff games that I'm sure he's going to make it to, but this guy is definitely performing, and it's on a pretty consistent basis. Beyond that, gosh, what can be said about Bronze Cena? I think the name is definitely a ploy, a smoke in the mirror situation in which he's casting deceit, trying to make you think too hard about that first word, the bronze part. Y'all forget that the second word is Cena. You can't even see this guy popping off in the top lane. It's insane. And I can't wait to see more of it, honestly. Pat's thick. Holy crap. Thick by name, thick by nature. This guy's got chunks, ham hocks, and layers that are just so... If that makes any sense to you, that's awesome. If not, I gotta say, this guy is definitely a powerhouse. I've had the fortune of subbing in for some scrims for rookies in cream. I might leak some stuff. I might be the worst person ever. But I do want to mention that they ask so much of me to fill the shoes for Pat's thick, and it shows. I mean, this guy, he knows what to do with the lead. I'll tell you that. VLN, we're gonna do a little bit of a swap here. We had to kick him to the bottom because unfortunately he didn't play yet. Oh, the stream is getting. Is my internet?
It's definitely yours.
Oh, okay. It might be me then. I'm lagging a little bit. It got a little fuzzy. Isodidact. Actually, it's Elsodidact, really. That's the real name, by the way. Which is, yeah, it's Elsodidact. I tried to type in ISO, and it wouldn't pull up on the Excel spreadsheet.
Well, it's ISO. I'm gonna just keep going with ISO.
Yeah, ISO, Elso. I mean, welcome to Summit. We respect the attempt, and I think that you're really doing a lot of good things. Do keep in mind that this is a little skewed in terms of perspective, so I don't truthfully think that Isodidact is a 6. I would then maybe put them down towards maybe 9 or 10. Still have a lot of room for improvement, but definitely good showing so far in this early part of the season, especially for a newcomer. X-Ray, what can be said? With a name like X-Ray, everyone knows that they can just see right through your game plan. But to be fair, I think the Guardian of the Wheel clears all top laners in Summit. So name change possibly? I don't know. It might get you power boost. I don't know.
Yeah, he got ISO above you, bro. Crazy.
It's kind of crazy, yeah.
Banana might slip up every now and then, but peel back those layers. You've got one strong competitor. Bro. I really do think that, you know, it's especially for how top heavy in terms of like disparity for skill. The top lane is. You have one dude who's just leagues and bounds above so many other players. It's kind of just like a bunch of little kindergartners fighting for attention. Me being one of them, of course, but it's a brawl, it's a battleground, and we'll see whether or not Banana can really step up. John Die. I mean, yeah, kind of the same story. More so emphasis on really trying to figure out what's going to end up working for you. It does kind of sometimes seem like there's a lot of question marks in what can be approached or what can be taken advantage of or what has to be forfeited. But beyond that, at least you're taking useful summoner spells. Uh, I I obviously I get in, solo bolos on the solo bolo king is an impressive feat. But at the end of the day, what does it truthfully accomplish?
I think you still have to win the game in order to be able to, you know, say you did anything with that solo bolo.
Er,
Because
there's team play, but yeah.
it,
If he had GM jungle, maybe.
that's the problem though. Is like even though he did, solo kill me, like he didn't do anything with his.
Flash.
Yeah, take flash? Question mark.
But yeah, then tentatively I've put the last four in order. I think that if they were in place in my tier, this would be how these four would perform. Obviously, Owen would have a field day with the three of the rest of us, but I think that in this particular order, especially with some information I'm not willing to fully divulge, I'm pretty confident in this sort of Baratel, Asuna, and then VLN and performance. Although it's hard to kind of slot where they would fit without seeing the performance. I just wanted to kind of rate these four individually, and that'll be the case for the rest of the roles I have as well.
I think Beartail clears.
Owen's pretty good.
Nah, they ain't see Baratel Heimerdinger yet.
True.
Does Owen like playing into Heimerdinger? I
Wait,
might just
what about
practice that.
Shaco? What about Beartail Shaco
You should
top?
just find the most annoying shit ever to play against.
Oh my god, it's definitely Shaco.
It has to be Shaco then,
No,
right?
Shaco's
Morn, you hear that? I have to play Shaco.
more
Gosh.
annoying.
Ugh.
Dude, just knocking the Heimer. Timo.
All right.
But yeah, let's move on to our jungle. Starting off, I got Sprinkler, TV, Hootie, and I actually have 4 in my elite tier this week because I think they're, all 4 of these players are just playing at a really good level. Besides Morn, he didn't play this week, and Hootie technically, but Sprinkler and TV I thought had some really great games. I'm gonna still show support for Sprinkler being number 1. This J4 game was pretty solid. Very happy. I will say TV though, what I've heard was a very big driving force of why Rookies and Keem won their series this week. So, definitely showing some respect. I think he's definitely gonna be he's definitely gonna be a reason why Rookies and Cream wins a lot of these games. So I'm excited to see how Rookies and Cream kind of go up from here. Moving down to my top tier, I have Adolfo, Sulpan, Firestorm, and Evaps. Evaps didn't play. Firestorm, I mean, still playing at a great high level, but, his team is just not... I will say, for Beware specifically, and I'll talk about more of them later, but I do think they're starting to actually look good. Their early game has definitely improved a lot, and I think they can go up in the next coming weeks depending on how their games goes. But I think all these players, solid players, they leave large impacts in their game. But unfortunately, sometimes you fall short of the win. So middle tier, I have Ryan, PPP, Cookies, and Gator. Ryan can be moved up depending on how his game goes on Wednesday. PPP, Cookies, solid performances, and then Gator. I don't have a whole lot on him because, one, I don't want the heat from Gator, so. But no, I think Gator honestly had a really good week. The Elise was super solid. I don't even remember what he played game one. Uh, Honestly, who cares? Because the game was one sided. So, but his Elise is still solid as ever. And then Sloppin, I won't back down. I don't really have a comment for them because one, I didn't see your series, and yeah, that's about it. Alberto, hit me with the meme list.
I mean, it starts out strong. I think it starts arguably pretty accurate, considering that Morn has not played this particular week. It doesn't feel right to put him where he does belong on number one spot, but shout out Morn, respect. TV is a animal, like a goddamn animal. He's hyper aggressive. He's looking for things, and he often finds really advantageous curves where he can kind of ride the whip, if you will, kind of drift out of the corner and really use that to accelerate a huge amount of momentum for his team on repeat. And it's very consistent. This guy will find someone that he can continue to pick on, So keep yourself safe when it comes to your mental edge when facing TV, because he'll beat you up if he knows you're on the tilted side, perhaps. Sprinkler, fantastic job. When it comes down to it, essentially, imagine this: you just are a storm, a cloud of rain, raining down chaos, utter chaos, like a garden sprinkler gone rogue. That shit's just spraying everywhere, right? Don't let the gentle name fool you. I think generally speaking, despite how heavy, some of these teams can be depending on their roster, I don't know. I really think that this guy's holding it down in the jungle. But are we surprised? This is kind of like out of expectation, right? Beyond that, Adolfo Kittler, sorry. Their name, hella sus. But they're honestly pouncing on the competition like a true predator in game. And again, while the name may be questionable, there's truthfully no question that getting this guy on your team provides you a litter of success.
Jason, I think we're getting
Nothing?
cut here. Yeah, I think
Nothing?
I think.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
Are you just not listening to Berto right now?
It's probably wise to tune me out. You guys in the video should skip this section, honestly.
Like, I'm tuned in to floss my teeth right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Firestorm Boxer, guys. If Firestorms could throw punches like animated fists of fire, it would look something like this player, honestly. He's a raging whirlwind of fire fists, and it's impressive. They may have had a tough first few rounds, but you know what they say, the famous words, it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's what Firestorm Boxer idolizes to me. Soulpan sounds like some dude. Soupcan sounds like some dude that would come fix your car. But they're out here fixing enemies' win streaks instead. Either up or down, however he feels suit. I know this dude can hit the 5-man Cataclysm. I know he can be the best Jarvan ever. And I thank him for that. I just hope that he can figure out how to continue cowabungaing his team into winning more. Proton Plot player. Small name, massive gameplay. Dude, PPP is out here showing us truthfully why size isn't everything. Gourmet Cookies, that's a sweet-ass name. Not so sweet games. Some pretty tough ones, to be transparent. Gourmet Cookies, he's serving up L's like a freshly baked treat. Now all he has to do is get his enemies to eat it up. I think that this guy's got a well. He's got to tap into it. He's got to go. He's got to go full Zen mode. He's got to get the galaxy gas going or something. I think he can cook. We might see Singed in the jungle. Who knows? That'd be crazy. OT Gator, I have here. It's the only Gator in the game, by the way. And they're snapping at opponents like it's feeding time. But unfortunately, this guy's going hungrier more often than not. It's interesting. It's unfortunately I don't really view it as something that he has a tremendous amount of control over. I mean, we've talked about it since the beginning of the season, since the draft happened, that his team has a bit of restriction in the sense that they have to fit into boxes that they might not normally fit into, and it kind of shows. OT Gator in the past, last season, we'd seen him really have a lot of success when he had like a mid laner that had a high amount of priority. Unfortunately, it's not something that he has currently so far early in this season. So if that's something that they can maybe configure or find something else that works for OT Gator, I think that he could climb up. But as it stands right now, I'd keep him here. Slop Maestro, bringing organized chaos with a name like Slop Maestro, it's not easy. This guy, kind of playing like a mess. Think it's time for him to clean it up a bit. I don't know what that's going to take. Personally, I don't know exactly how the comms go, but I think that when it comes to jungle, it's a pretty calm-oriented role. I don't know if maybe starting with those fundamentals and building them up from the bottom could be beneficial, or wherever you're currently at, but something's got to give. And then I won't back down. I mean, it's tough, and I hope that they mean it. I hope that name really inspires them to continue fighting, because that's what it's going to take to improve. But ultimately speaking, I won't back down. He's got to find his way back up in these power rankings somehow. And then again, the last four I have, while they have yet to play, this is how I think they would rate amongst the four of them. We have
That's
Morn,
insane.
we have Ryan, we have Hootie, and SK Evaps here.
Hootie below Ryan is crazy.
That's
to me.
absolutely insane.
Well, I mean, have you seen the rest of my list so far?
I mean, honestly, not really that bad considering you're not rating the people who haven't played yet. They're actually pretty legit, I think.
Yeah, I think your
Don't
list
worry.
is fine, but your last
throw it out.
four.
I'll throw it out the window here in a bit. I think
Okay.
I think Ryan's honestly a ticking time bomb. He's not
Okay.
I think that he's a player that kind of builds up over a season, and either his team finally kind of realizes what ends up working with him as a pivotal role, because he will be instrumental in this team's success, or they don't. We've seen him very successful, not too long ago. They were ended up to be contenders, and prior to that it was and setup, and unfortunately, those puzzle pieces that need to be provided for the Ryan puzzle itself to be complete just weren't available. So it's up to whether or not the team can figure out if they do have those puzzle pieces for each other to be successful. I'm not saying that Hootie's a bad player, and I mean, to be fair, who's to say whether or not Morn, Ryan, and Hootie don't end up on the top of the list if they had played this week? But it's tough to say without the four teams playing.
Yep, for sure. All right, Jason.
Okay. To kind of explain mine, I kind of obviously took the opposite approach of Berto. I should explain this probably before my top, but if they haven't played yet, I'm pretty much going off of their prior weeks as well as how I expect them to perform. And so watching Sprinkler and TV, both solid performances, but not entirely impressed with them. I think TV could have the earlies on TV were a little sus, especially considering he's going against I Won't Back Down. But overall, still solid gameplay. I'm obviously a little more critical of these two because they're among in the elite tier, so I'm obviously gonna be a little more critical. But this is how I'm kind of seeing it shape out right now. I think Moore and Hootie are probably gonna have good bounce back weeks. Uh, Taking up that top spot, but still the elites I would say is 1 through 4. Adolfo, another solid showing, but I will say, counter to his, not in his defense, but he does definitely have pretty easy games, considering most of the map typically will win with help or not, but he does help a lot still, which is why he finds himself up here. Firestorm, another decent showing with like a horrible team, to put it frank. I feel bad for the dude. He's kind of jailed right now, but he seems solid, like a solid jungler. I have no idea how their comms are or anything, but just off play, he's like one of the only reasons they're even somewhat contesting some of these games. Solpin, a bit of a disappointing series with Gumby. Yeah, that one was a bit of a mess, I'm not going to lie. But still a solid jungle. I think he has a lot of potential. Could easily find his way in the elite tier once he finds his footing. But up till now, he finds himself kind of in the middle of the pack, which is still, I would consider like the high tier from like Adolfo all the way down to like maybe SK Evaps. It's still like in that higher tier. SK Evaps didn't play it, I believe, but had strong showings last week. Seems like I'm pretty sure it's a fill, but he looks pretty solid. PPB pretty strong showing. Maybe could have moved them up one or two. Um, Actually went like legit builds and champs and seemed to do pretty well on it. Their team definitely seems like they're starting to get their footing. Nothing to complain about there. OT Gator, decent showing. Honestly, he has a really hard game. His like high CLOs in the bot lane, but they seem way out of sync. And so that's just his games are honestly really hard. On top of, I think he is not scaling too well with all the competition. He finds himself in the lower rankings, but I would still call this like the mid tier. Still decent, still has room to grow. Gourmet Cookies, another. He actually had a decent week concerning the loss. I think their team have found good. I think he's finding good success on his new like just he's a Skarner Uter merchant, but it's working. It's pretty decent for him. He just AFKs for 20 minutes, gets objectives, and then can just buy space for his the rest of his team. So he actually had a decent showing. Ryan didn't play yet, but I think this is still again like the middle tier despite it being ranked 12. I think he can find his way up a couple ranks depending if his team can find their stuff together. But as of now, he looks among the weaker of the middle tier. Slot Maestro kind of is bouncing, I think, between middle and low. He just seems a little weak. And then I won't back down. Unfortunately, finds himself in last place, but I actually think he had a relative to his rank and previous weeks. I think he actually had a really good performance this week. A lot of good showings for McMammals. Definitely a breath of life for him. I think he can come out of this loss not happy, but not terribly sad. I think he actually had a pretty good showing, all things considered. So yeah.
All right, yeah. Let's move on to our mid lane. Starting off my elite tier, I got Gumby, Never Saw, and Psy. I'm gonna be honest. I really hope Psy beats Gumby so we can have this weird triangle thing
Yeah.
of where Gumby beat Never Saw beats Psy, and then Psy beats Gumby somehow, and then we just have this weird triangle. It's like just a rotation. Um, but no, I mean Gumby awfully obviously had a solid week. The Zir was solid, but unfortunately just not able to close out the game. And then the Nefiri I thought was crazy, really strong.
Yeah.
The Never Saw. I mean, granted, she was playing against. Oh gosh, who was she? Who was it? Was it Naki? Oh yeah, I think it was like Firestorm's team, right?
Who?
Firestorm's team, or am I wrong? The
No,
Gauntlet.
we played Firestorm's team. The Gauntlet never saw Psy played against
They.
each
With
other.
power of friendship.
Oh right,
Oh, they,
yeah. So
yeah, that's a cool sheet. Why have I never seen this before?
yeah, I thought
Let me-
Sai honestly looked pretty bad this week compared to like his previous series. And so yeah, I just think Never Saw had a solid week, so I ranked her second this week. Reclaiming her second spot. I mean, previous season she has been second. Then Sai took her over last week, and she said, "No, I'm number two." So moving on, my top tier, I have Nico, Array, Loco, and Odysseus. Nico, he just might have to 1v9 some of these games because like his team is not finding success, and I'm glad he role swapped because his team actually looks a lot better, I think, in this lineup. So I think it's just finding that jungle presence, and then maybe not putting John Dye on like like Rumble or anything like that, maybe just put him on a tank top lane, a weak side top lane, and then you can play for bot side. So, but maybe Mick Manuels have something cooking up in the works, and we just don't know yet. But I mean, Array. I mean, he's a big driving force of why his team is winning, and TV is a big help. And I'm happy with putting him at number 5 this week, and all of us agree. Loco, I think he has some definitely some int moments in our series, but he can still play mid at a very high level. And then Odysseus played well into Naki. My mid tier Frost, Hamea, Flash, Naki. I actually thought Frost had a really good showing this week. The Vlad was actually pretty solid. Big reason why they won some of their games and kept it close in a lot of their series. Hamea Flash, they'll play on Wednesday, so they can move or down or up, whatever you want to do. And then Naki, solid performance into Odysseus, but some just bad team fights. Led to their loss. Low tier Vossler, World Soup, and MHD. Vossler did well on the Vygar, the Galio, I don't think it was it. And then World Soup and MHD did not play this week. So nothing too crazy, I think. This is actually a pretty good list. I think this is my most accurate list, okay? So
I mean, it looks pretty consistent among most, if not all of us, and most of these picks.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna send it over to Jason.
Okay. Not too much movement. Honestly, it is a quiet week. Obviously, 2 series I haven't played yet, but I think overall, not too many groundbreaking matchups or series happened. As far as like mega changes, but there were some good head-to-heads we got to watch. Gumby, great performance. Overall, very sloppy game from both teams. I'll probably talk about more as far as we talk about the teams, but Gumby himself, incredible performance as always. Dude's a psychopath, and the Fury pick was crazy. He just does so much for his team. It's just showing he's like in the elite of the elite tier. Never saw Versailles, great matchup. Sai definitely seemed to struggle a bit. Honestly, pretty interesting game. It was actually pretty back and forth, the games. But never saw it coming on top. Seemed to just have more impact, did better overall, I would say. But still, obviously, they're both still elite. Sai third, again, solid. Now we're starting to get into like a blend of elite to high tier. I think that 4-5 are slowly creeping up into that top 3. Nico versus Ray, another head-to-head. Great matchup. Ray came out on top with the win. And I put Nico above Ray, but I think you ask me tomorrow, and I'll probably switch them. So it's that close, it's that neck and neck based on the performances. They both came out lane fairly even, maybe Nico a little bit ahead. Ray played the fights well. Nico getting caught a little bit, but still overall strong performance by both them. I think when you factor in what Nico has to do for his team and how he has to play and how he gets to play, it's definitely a lot harder game, and that was a big factor into the placements. Not that Array doesn't, create a lot of openings for his team and is playing very well himself, but just, when you have the rank zone, you gotta look into a lot of factors. And like, I got a bronze jungler versus a master jungler. It's kind of hard to argue otherwise. But again, I can't. It's hard to read. I can't read it anymore. But it's like they're so neck and neck. There's like leagues above, I think, below them at the moment, or not leagues, but a good amount above everyone below them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like in their high elite tier. Next in like the highest tier, I would say Odysseus, strong week, good bounce back from the previous week where I think it was a little shaky. It looks like he found his footing again. Just very strong mid. I think these like placements from this point are actually starting to look pretty solidified as of right now compared to some of the other roles where I think they're very interchangeable. But I think I don't think there's anyone below Odysseus. I would put him above him at all, and then I don't think I would put Odysseus above anyone above him at all. So I think where he's at right now is a really strong spot. Same with Loco. I think he's actually been having kind of a little bit weak performances overall in the last this week and last, but I think he plays the fights pretty well, and he's still doing solid overall. And just like I said, I can't imagine putting anyone below him above him, despite him I think having actually kind of weak weeks. But decent performance. Frost, I think he's shown to be a very strong lower elo pick, holding his own against a lot of these higher tiered, just really great mid laners. He's still finding ways to be impactful, make plays happen, not inting. Some shaky mechanics and summer spell usage, but solid performance overall. Now we're starting into that middle tier with Frost down to probably maybe Haumea. I guess only 2 people. Maybe Loco down to Haumea, maybe Naki. But Haumea I haven't played yet, but I think he's gonna do solid. He'll probably find himself up 1, maybe up 2 potentially in the based on his performance in the next week or two. I think he has a lot of potential still. Their team's kind of just a mess, so it's just hard to perform when your team's just all over the place. So, but I think he's still a strong player. Naki, I think he actually had a decent bounce back week. I think against us, still not great. It's not where you expect him to perform, but it wasn't horrible. And we start bleeding to the lower tier now. But still, honestly, the mids this season are all pretty decent. My daddy didn't play yet, I believe, but
Hmm.
he seems to be doing pretty well so far. Foster kind of struggled against Loco a bit. The Vigar's just an annoying pick. He did decent, but definitely was. He got focused a little bit, but just definitely not the greatest play. And I don't think Flash Knight and Soup have played yet,
Nope.
but both they've both been shown, honestly, in my opinion, pretty underperforming as far as what we've seen in the past. Because before, I think what Frost is right now is what like Flash Knight and World Soup were in their prime in like the last season or two or three. Um, and so we just haven't found that great like punch up performance from those two yet. But obviously we've seen it in the past, so we kind of just gotta wait for that to show up again.
Yep, for sure. Narberto.
I mean, yeah, we obviously, I think, without a doubt, agree the most about this list, and to kind of echo chamber what Jason was saying, I think it's pretty solidified at this point that there's not like a tremendous amount of movement. Although, again, I still do reserve the last four slots for these players that have yet to play. Um, it's tough to say where they would end up. Kind of also piggybacking, I would say like from Loco Poco up, those don't really move too much. Although to highlight the main reason why I have Psy as a higher pick than Neversaw, I'm sure someone was going to ask or wonder about it. Um, I think simply when it comes down to it, I think Psy's a more consistent player, and that this draft was just like kind of tee silly mode. Like as opposed to getting bored mid series, Psy was just bored during drafts. And that's I think if they were less bored, more ready to go toe to toe, and obviously, the mechanics are there. If maybe on a more, influential pick, I can't remember the last time I saw an AP Kog'Maw. I'm not
We
saying
saw
it's
it
not
twice this
cool.
week. We saw it, I think. Oh
It's sick.
no.
It's
They're both
crazy.
useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then beyond that, I mean, Swain's cool, and I like the changes, but it's just,
I think first pick.
uh,
I think first pick Swain was
yeah,
very,
it's
very like.
it was a little, the question marks were in the draft.
Yeah.
The gameplay was still there, so I think that if instead they maybe, I'm not trying to say that they didn't play it seriously, but if they took draft more seriously, I think it would be a little bit of a different story. But then beyond that, I mean, as you guys have already articulated, I really do think that this lineup is pretty solid. And I do want to see how these other four mid laners kind of perform, because they have some pretty steep competition in terms of trying to usurp, a seventh, sixth, or fifth place spot. I don't think it's really possible, truth be told. And I think that's all I need to say about this.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think mid lane currently is just it's like there's a clear difference between like you said seventh up and eighth below. So it's like
Yeah.
so
Although
yeah.
I do want to mention, I put Nico here because, man, it really did look like that was the right place for him to be. Like it just seemed like things were clicking on a different wavelength. And then to maybe answer why I have, Vossler as low as I do, it just seems like that the opposite might be true. I mean, I think maybe admittedly they're more comfortable on a different role, but again, due to the nature of, everything that's going on, and it's just unfortunate. But yeah, beyond
Right.
that, I'm pretty confident in this list, and we seem to agree.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to our ADC role, Jason clears.
I mean, arguably, because Azrael doesn't play, right? So if you remove that, then
Nope.
Jason clears.
I'd probably still put Jason first. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't
The
know, man.
the Lucian game alone, I think was crazy to me. I mean, bro got a so he gets like a triple kill, and then he continues just to like run the game with Brissy, and I think it's just crazy. So Jason is so good, and I won't lie, but I'm a little jealous. I think Jason and Brissy has said this before, and like I think Jason actually like makes the players on his team play a lot better, and
Hmm.
I believe him honestly, and
I mean,
I
you
can
kind
see
of
it.
you have to, otherwise you get yelled at. So I'd be
Right.
motivated too as well. No joke.
Yeah, I don't want to get yelled at by Jason, but yeah,
No, me either.
I thought Jason played super great this week.
I
And
agree.
Azrael, I mean, didn't play, but honestly, probably still would be right here, like 1-2. And then
Yeah.
King went deathless. King Caterwall went deathless in his game 2, so want to show a little respect, but it's tough to work with the team that he's got because both your solo laners are not very strong. So,
Hmm.
but I don't want to beat the dead horse, so we'll move on. My top tier, I have Them, Affection, Sporadic, Loon, and Goblin. Them, Affection,
That's
Sporadic,
crazy.
Them, Affection, Sporadic, and had terrific showings this week. I thought Affection is actually playing solid games. I think Sporadic, crazy game as well. The Kog'Maw was super good. Loon, he hasn't played and Goblin hasn't played, so they definitely can move up. But I wanted to recognize the players that have played, and show them love because I think Affection actually had a terrific series this week. And then middle tier, I have Pycro, PyPy, Sauce, and Strand. Pycro, good series win. PyPy is still trying to find his groove in the bot lane, but he's starting to get there. Sauce had just a rough series in general. And then Strand, really good Jinx games, but the MF is normally a comfort champ, but kind of looked a little rusty this series, so that's why I put him here. And then Bird Person Yuhuzi, Bird hasn't played, and then Yuhuzi, I think he's actually like most games does well in the early game, right? And I just think late game he kind of struggles just because of like positioning and otherwise is just not playing team fights accordingly in the late game. But I think he is slowly improving because like his early game has actually gotten a lot better. I think from his first 2 weeks, but I think once he gets out of lane, I think then there's a problem. He's kind of struggling. He's getting caught out, and but yeah, I honestly see some improvement, and I'm excited to see what else. Maybe he'll not be ranked 14th for the whole season. It's kind of my hope at least, but we'll definitely see how it works.
That'd be sick.
But yeah, let's send it to Berto.
You already know what it is, guys. Jason is kind of good. He's kind of good, they say. He's, I mean, obviously really popping off. Um, so kudos. I think that it's a very well earned top tier spot. I can't say for certain whether or not if Azrael had played, if that would still be contended. But I still that doesn't diminish the accomplishment. I think it's a very well earned top spot. Very much a very strong, not only ADC but an incredibly strong bot lane in terms of the season. So kudos to that. Uh, guys, I don't think people are realizing what Sporadic does for his team. He does okay. So aside from the fact that as an ADC, he's not like giga running it down. He may mess up every once in a while because he's a human being, but the dude is solid in terms of performance, and then beyond that, he has to be uh how do I say this delicately? I personally would struggle to be on a team where sometimes I think things are thrown out the window for the fun of it. we've seen, and this week definitely speaks volumes to this. I think that just as an overall, I think that their team in general, um, can go really far, but it really kind of boils down to a large majority of the influential players on that team to be taking the game seriously.
Very
And
coin flip team.
somehow and this is just from sheer experience because he did the same thing to me way back in the day on Froggy Fighters. Sporadic, he kind of he's really smart about people in general, and he's leading from the front as an ADC, which is incredibly difficult to do. And it may not be like the shot calling. It may not be the big play or the big carry, but I think Sporadic is doing so much more for his team than people seem to realize. And while it might be something that can be looked at as a potential as a definite strength for their team, it could also be something that they can look into in terms of ways for them to have alternative win conditions when things aren't going so well in the mid lane matchup, or when Neversaw isn't able to buy enough time to get these kind of hyper late scaling carries going. I think Sporadic is a very much needed anchor for them, and with that, in addition to his ADC performance this week, I think he deserves the second spot. Beyond that, Thim. What more can be said? I think this guy did really well this week. Short, sweet. Thim is showing that big plays sometimes come in small sizes. I mean names, small names. King Caterwall. Did you know that? I think Caterwall is a noise. Did you guys know that? King of the noise, essentially. And King Caterwall is making sure everyone hears that they are here to play. And while, arguably speaking, there have been some questionable bot lane matchups, I think it's less of a reflection on King Caterwall and their individual performance and them as a player, and more so maybe the 2v2 or the designated plan to mitigate King Caterwall's success. But as we can clearly see, when they have some freedom, some real estate to work with, they know what to do with it. I have Peak Ronus here. I think that Peak Ronus is, I think, an underdog, or maybe a little bit of a misnomer in the sense that they don't have a lot of public attention to the Summit server quite yet. When it comes down to it, Peak Ronus and Pony Bottom, it's a scary combo. And again, insider information, being able to scrim with rookies and cream, Peak Kronos is definitely playing way above what I think that they were initially sought for, and they are, even in the face of Array popping off on a consistent basis, really doing well for their team.
They're both Diamond 4.
Look, man, he's doing it. He deserves a spot. It's above Pyrosis, who, mind you, did have some flexibility this week. I think that they performed adequately, and I wonder if that trend will continue to be that, or I think with maybe more familiarity with the swap and how the team dynamic changes, maybe that will change as well. Stran, for reasons I'm not allowed to disclose, Steven asked me to put him here. So that is why he is 7. No.
Interesting.
Or maybe. I can't say for certain. I'm not allowed to talk about it. Yeah. So Steven's 7th. 7th place ADC. He's a GOAT. He deserves to be here. No questions about it. Affection. Their name might sound soft, but the dude's dishing out damage. And when he gets some agency and some resources, and we've seen him have some really pop-off games. Sasa Legend, unfortunately, I think they're still trying to find the recipe for success. The flavor is just a little bit off, and Unfortunately, Yuhuzi, I think they're struggling to find themselves in stride with the rest of their team, which is something that can change, but we don't know for sure. And then, of course, my last four are people that have yet to play, so I cannot accurately judge them. Nor can I accurately judge any of the players that I actually watched either.
All right, Jason, hit me with it.
All right. Again, until I see a little bit more from Osro, I feel like he's a strong ADC, and obviously having really good performances. But I want to wait for the head to head. I don't know if we ever do the regular season, but I'm
No,
sure like put
not yeah. It'd be
because I
postseason.
think we're another group. Yeah, but I mean, still like putting me in one. I almost put me one, but still like I think he's still a really strong ADC, even with a kind of shaky performance last week. So until I see a little bit more to really definitively place me up, I'm gonna just keep me second. Keep my ego in check a little bit. I think we're kind of the elite tier right now, though. I think them and Catterwall is kind of very similar to the Ray Nico situation where like they're like completely neck to neck. They played the head to head and it's still completely neck to neck. I don't think anyone showed up too entirely over the other in it. I think both of them had one really good game and one solid, like pretty strong performance. Um, it's hard to put him there, but I think Thim, in my opinion, slightly edged down top uh, with his overall performance. But still, again, these are like hella neck and neck. It's still the high tier, bleeding into elite almost. Strong performances. I think King Carnival still the expectations still like underperforming though as far as a Master GM bot lane. I think should be doing a lot more. I'm not gonna lie. After watching the game, Light Spear kind of entered him a little bit game one. Kind of made the game pretty hard for him, and then he just felt infinitely behind on the Jinx. I think it was couldn't play. And then next, like the high bleeding into mid a little bit is like Luden, Goblin. Both didn't play it this week, but still strong, very strong ADCs. I think easily can compete up with the next two above them. Um, we just haven't seen the strong performance from Goblin so far, but like I said, with the rest of his teammates, his team looks like a bit of a wreck right now, but still a very strong player. I think they can easily be well deep into the high tier on a good day. Sporadic, honestly, another I think pretty low impact performance on the win. I think he's a solid ADC. Obviously, I have him like kind of as a gatekeeper from like in the middle tier, like the high end of the middle tier, but solid performance, but like I think the impact's just pretty minimal, especially this week. I think he went against Sauce of Legend, both of them similar, just like low impact performances. Pyrosis, decent showing against Peakerness, who I honestly just learned today they're D4 bottom so they should be pretty decent. Talking about them both, another head to head, very neck and neck. Peakerness I think had a bit of a stronger lane. Pyrosis loves taking tower shots, but then Pyrosis would just soak up minions, end up like 40 CS up at like 20 minutes, despite coming out of lane losing. Found some good fights. Pyros did. Found some bad fights. Kind of just likes to fight. Just YOLO in case if the enemy team's there or not. Fuck it. But I would slightly edge him out over Pickerness. Definitely is opened up some opportunities for his team. Might not always be the good one, but he's still some of the plays were pretty decent this week. Pickerness though another solid ADC. I would comfortably put him like probably at the low end of that middle tier. I'm bleeding to like the lower ish. But still, like the low tier going from like Strand down, I think they're all still strong and can have really strong performances. So I don't even know if I want to call them low tier. They're like the low midish tier. Um, but decent performance by Strand. I think Strand Affection was also another head-to-head matchup. Affection's lane looked like honestly pretty abysmal. I thought this week was a pretty bad showing from Affection coming off of last week's decent performance in the loss, I believe. Um, I think Affection looked very shaky this week. The Strand definitely came out on top as far as lane goes, but I think both of them actually had pretty mediocre performances. Salsa Legend, like I mentioned earlier, low impact. Bird Person didn't play yet, I think, but
Mm.
I think based on the previous weeks, he's just probably on the lower end. Starts bleeding into like the lower tiers, and then Yahuzi. Honestly, I don't know. That shit's kind of doomed. I'm not gonna lie. I think that team kind of needs a role swap or something. I don't think it's. I think you bleed way too much in the ADC role, and judging how a lot of these ADCs are pretty strong. We saw even Strand just completely dominate him in the bot lane. He just bleeds way too much gold in the bot lane, and I don't know. It's kind of doomed down there.
All right, let's move on to our support. Starting off, I got Big Dummy tier. I put him in his own tier because I'm gonna be honest. He doesn't.
That's accurate.
He's in his own fucking league at this point, even though he hasn't played this week yet. So I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't know how to rank this role. So my list is definitely uh, a lot of copium. So starting off in my elite tier, I have Brissy, Gamer D, and the Fridge. I actually thought Brissy had a solid week. Gamer D definitely a rougher one. Ender Fridge, we finally see him not on Maokai and the Seraphine. I thought the Seraphine was pretty good. Um, and yeah, that's all I really got for my elite tier. My top tier Spearman Light. I thought KitKat actually had a really good week. The Braum
Yo, my
was.
score is completely wrong, by the way. I think you have the previous week for me. So you know, sorry.
Do I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did I fuck up? Oh, I definitely fucked up. I thought I
I can
did
still talk
yours.
it if it's too much work to change. But yeah, just for the
It's
record,
gonna
that
be
is
too
not my
much work
list.
at this point, but I definitely
That's fine.
fucked
I'll
up
just talk
that
it.
one. That's all right. Hey, it's only the third week we're doing this, right? uh, but yeah, honestly, I mean, I thought KitKat had a really good week. BBQ Leona was definitely shaky. Um, like Spearman Lights still looking for their first win on their team. I mean, I don't at this point I don't know if they're going to get it. I mean, we'll see, but I don't know. So, but my mid tier I have Pony, Ilya, Tubby, Alturas. Pony really solid week. Ilya was pretty shaky this week. PUF kind of got clapped versus the Gauntlet. Tubby was definitely better than last week. I mean, they got kind of swept last week, but definitely had a more of a fighting chance. Actually, took a game off of Elo Surfers, and then Alters is getting played on Wednesday, and then Sloth and Sifra didn't play this week. So, and yeah, so Jason just hit me with that list. I'll
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So just again for the record, this is my last week's list, my current list, and again, I do agree with X-Ray. I think support's like by far the hardest to rank in this
here. I'll do it
this
while you
season.
talk about it.
Okay, bet. I will say, yeah, support is like the just absolute hardest to rank this season. Just based on like, there's not too many standout performers at all, minus Big W, obviously. Um, some of the people you expect to aren't doing as well. A lot of inconsistency, some strong performances, and the next week they just seem non-existent. So definitely hard to rank. But number one, obviously Big Dummy. Number two, I have Barbecue Leona. Despite being on like the worst team, I think that his like impact and performance is its ratio, especially of being on the support role, is very high. But again, I think the gap from one to the next person is huge, and I think the gap from like two down to like 13 is like not that big. So, but I did have Big Dummy second. I have Pony Goffo third this week. I think he just had a pretty strong showing with Pickerness. Or her, I don't know. There's a lot of girls in the sports, but Pony Goffo, I think just had a solid performance this week and had pretty solid performances in the past. So I just put them third here. Easily could change. Honestly, nothing like too crazy impressive, but just based on like the consistency and impact, this kind of felt right. I have Lightspear fourth. Decent showing, had some moments of greatness, but then it definitely seems like I don't know, their communication or something. They overcooked too much. Kind of put his ADC in quite some bad spots game one. I think him and the ADC went deathless game two somehow in the loss, but decent performance. Still way underperforming from what you expect from his elo wise, but still objectively not playing too horribly and still finds himself among the higher end of the supports despite the shaky performances. Ilya, pretty much same deal with Lightspear. I think went from second. Now I have him fifth. Still, decent performance, a bit shaky. Just another like not that impressive, but still solid as far as everything considered. My Brissy sixth here. Obviously pretty strong showing overall, and especially for his rank, he is like probably the number one performer in the support role right now. But still, objectively looking at it, looking at the game state, the rest of the team, how much they impact the actual wins. I think six is a solid spot for Brissy right now. He's just looking really strong. And especially when you consider his elo, I mean, it's pretty insane. He's definitely just like previous season when he was top lane, one of the best draft value picks I would say right now. He's going to the support role, which he played in the past, but never in summit or any amateur fashion. I have Tubby seventh. I think a bit shaky performance again. Improvements from last week, which I think was just pretty bad, and then this week was solid. Um, Not too much to say. I mean, I definitely expect more out of Tubby. I think he definitely has the potential to be in that like elite high, or I guess high tier, top three for sure. But as of right now, we just haven't seen yet. Still hasn't found his strong footing with Strand. There's just a lot of inconsistent performances. Sifra didn't play this week yet, but just overall seemed to be pretty consistent support. Just looks solid. Nothing too crazy, but nothing too in. Seems like a just middle of the road support. Spearman, I think actually had a pretty decent showing this week. I think he's improving a lot over the weeks. Yeah, it's just not it's solid performance. This, in my opinion, I think this might have been his best performing week, even in the loss. Obviously nothing great. He's still ranked 9, but considering his previous ones, I thought it was solid. Alteris didn't play yet. Still think he's a decent support. Just hasn't really shown anything too much yet overall. Possibly could move him lower again. A lot of the support tiers like really wishy-washy week to week. You'll see like the biggest shifts in this role just because it's so hard to rank someone every week when there's so much inconsistent play and no standouts. But Alteris is 10 right now. Guaranteed 11. The R5 blitz into being probably one of the most useless picks I think I've ever seen everyone ever play. I feel for my boy, but I think he's still a pretty strong support. He has some decent showings. This week was not one of them. Not his strongest performance, but kind of bounced back game 2 and 3. Solid showings, but nothing too impressive. And I think a bit struggling this week. I don't want to say overall because I think he had some pretty solid weeks in the past. I think his Big Dumb performance was pretty solid, but right here, have him here maybe a little bit too low. We'll see how it shapes up in the future. Ender Fridge, I think he actually had, or whoever they had a pretty solid performance this week, all things considered. I think I moved him from 14th now to 12th. Just looks solid. Didn't actually like seem to end on the Maokai. I think they got a game 1.
Yep.
Then Kit Kat game third or I have Kit Kat in 13. He had a solid performance too. I feel bad ranking some of these supports in the lower tier because they're definitely not like definitively in this low tier. I think like honestly like 8 down can all change pretty easily. But this is, I have to rank them, so I got Kit Kat 13th. She seemed to be solid. Fall up on the team. Sometimes maybe does too much, but solid performance. Sloth didn't play it either, but another seems to have solid performances. Nothing too crazy. It feels bad putting him 14th because they don't feel like a 14th level player as far as especially compared to the people above them. But somebody has to do it, and that's Sloth this week. So
Sloth was just on the chopping block, so
someone got to be last. You
yeah.
used to be better than the people above you, I guess.
You're
I don't know.
right. All right, Berto.
So the only reason I have you last is because you haven't played. That's the only reason. Just
Ooh.
to preface this, along with the other 3 that are in my bottom tier, these 4 just haven't
Wait,
played
hang on.
yet.
Big Dummy above Sifra though.
Yeah, that's insane. Below, that's insane.
Huh?
You have
You
Sifra
guys don't.
above.
Oh, I don't have these in order for this one.
Uh, so
Or do
every
Gotcha,
other
gotcha.
one you have in order, but this one you
Look,
don't.
guys, let's be honest. Sifra is in hyperbolic time chamber mode. I don't think you guys understand how much this particular individual wants to prove that they belong in a situation like this on a power rankings where someone realizes that they're just better. Dean, respect to Dean. Although Dean, I've known Dean for a long time. Sifra, I'm gonna say this. Sifra's got this. I hope we face off against Dean in the bottom lane so we can put this to rest. But let's go back to the top. Guys, I mean, we see it here a little bit. Jason, you articulated it. You have Pony up in top 3, but I think you missed the mark. Pony, best performer this week in terms of support. I think that she played phenomenally. And to be fair, not just stuck on the Seraphine duty. Yes, we do see one game, sure, but a Morgana pick to follow up. That's spicy, and I like it. I like that they were able to have such good impact, and to be honest, that team needs a player like Pony on the roster because the rest of the team are blood hungry maniacs. You have Patstick, TV, and Array. Someone's got to keep those people in check, and it's Pony 100%. I've been in the comms. It's a classic combo. I may have misplaced Light Sphere, but I'll defend it. I think that they're a player that can perform if they're not to put it not so nicely, if they're not inting their lane occasionally. I think with those adjustments, though, they could be here, and I'd like to see them as a contentious spot because, I mean, that bot lane in particular has been held in such high regard since the beginning of the season, and unfortunately, it feels like they are still leaving some things left to be desired. Number three, Brissy's the GOAT. That's literally all that needs to be said. Um, for reasons I'm not allowed to disclose, Steven has asked me to put Tubby here in fourth place. I don't know if it's like payment for laning with Steven or what, but that's why Tubby's fourth. I respect it. I appreciate it. I will defend it till I die. Barbecue Leona, again, to be a bit of an echo chamber, I think had a really solid week and definitely performed in a very admirable fashion. In contrast to criticizing the R5 Blitzcrank pick, I want to commend it. I love Blitzcrank. I think that champion's super fun. And only a real beast of a man can really unlock that in the support role. And then from here, it's just I feel like these last four in this particular list are kind of interchangeable. Although I will say that it is nice to see KitKat on a different, definitely important part of their team, and I think that they have a lot that they can learn from Sporadic. So they definitely can move up 2 spaces from here, from where I have them right now.
But
And that's all I got.
Enderfridge last though.
Enderfridge last, guys. Let's be honest. What is that name weird? It's not that okay, not to harp on it, and I think that if it ends up working for you and it gets you the dub, that's awesome. I watched the series, and the greatest moments of success I sometimes saw Enderfridge were baiting crucial abilities and cooldowns on themselves, which is awesome as a support. But if your whole benefit to your team is just being an ability magnet, I don't know. Maybe it's too harsh of a criticism.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Your support ranking actually is insane. This might be the
Dude,
most
I don't know how
insane
to
thing I've
rank.
seen
I don't know how to
before.
rank this role.
This shit
Also,
is small.
Spirit Man is cool as hell, by the way. Just shout out Spirit Man.
Nice.
All right, that's all I got for my support list.
If we had a name tier list, I mean, there are definitely names that would definitely be.
There are definitely names.
We need
Clears.
we need the Sulpan name tier list again. But yeah, let's move on to our final one, the team rankings. Starting off, Sprinklers Tinklers. I mean, it's obvious why we're number one. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But going on to my first real pick, Gar's first grade class. I mean, besides Sprinklers Tinklers and 1,000 Year Dynasty, well, until Wednesday, if 1,000 Year Dynasty is still undefeated. But these three teams are the only undefeated teams now going into week 4. So they're looking really strong because right now I just don't really see a clear weakness for GFC. I mean, I have to play them next week, so we'll see how it goes. So hopefully we can get the dub.
Banger.
We got the Gauntlet. Now I know I ranked them 8th last week, and now they're 3rd. But the way they beat Power of Friendship this last week, I think it's a good enough reason to put them number 3 this week. That's my opinion, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm occasionally wrong, so I definitely get it. Rookies and Cream, I think. I mean, right now, besides GFC and ST, I think they're looking like a really good 3rd place for Pool A. I think they're actually a contender for going to playoffs, and I'm excited to see what this team will bring. Elo Surfers, I think, are one of those teams that some people don't realize the amount of power this team has at times. and they play well this week. In my opinion, I think Affection had some great plays. Um, who's the top laner? It's Swan Cake, right?
No.
No,
For what
Okay,
team?
Speedway Gaming.
hang on. Sorry, I don't know. I'm still. Oh yeah, Isodak, Sulpan. I mean Gumby. Yeah, I
Also
think.
Didac.
Yeah, yeah. I think Elo Surfers are a solid team. 1,000 Year Dynasty. I mean, depending on how their series goes, I mean, they can either be moved around depending on how their series goes. Power Friendship rough series, but we know now that Power Friendship is not invincible. A lot of people were thinking that this team was invincible, but no, they can't be beaten. They do have a kryptonite. So World Super Center didn't play this week, so middle of the pack. Same with Wawa Warriors. Final Boss Wednesday, depending on results, can move up. Out on the Chipmunks, jungle and bot lane are strong solo lanes, but are still struggling to find wins. Summon Admin's good performance this week, but just wasn't able to get the win. But I just don't know if they beat anyone higher on this list right now. And then McMammals had a solid week, but I mean, they're still looking for that first win as well. And I'm gonna be honest, it's looking pretty rough right now, and I don't know. I mean, I think they can beat Beware Gaming, but I have hope this week. So I think Beware, is scaling, because I think this week specifically they had actually a pretty solid zoning versus GFC. Like I said, the early game was, I thought, really good, but then they had like three bad team fights in a row that kind of just lost them the series, in my opinion. So, um, yeah, Jason, hit me with that list.
I'll be honest with you, this week the teams I had an extremely hard time ranking 1 through 9. Like at a certain point, I was just like, "Fuck, I gotta put someone somewhere." So, the accuracy of 1 through 9 this week is definitely shaky, and that's based on obviously 4 teams not performing yet. I think all four are in that sphere, and also a couple of the other ones that are in the sphere, I think had just like shaky performances compared to usual, specifically Elo servers. So it was very very hard to rank this week, but I guess I'll just start from top to bottom. I mean, we had obviously played. It seems like we played like number one to 14, but still, like I think we had a really strong showing. Game two was like an absolute stomp, like 24-minute win. We just don't have. It doesn't look like we have any clear weaknesses, and we just look very strong overall. I definitely think it can change. I think the top 5 or 6 or so look very strong right now, but after seeing a lot of the performances this week, and after not seeing some of the other ones, obviously if I haven't played yet, I feel like I had to put us first, but obviously I think this can change pretty easily based on week to week. Number two, 1,000 Year Dynasty. They're one of the teams that didn't play yet, but just based on their past couple weeks, I think they're a strong team. Again, like top like 6 are fairly interchangeable this week. Kind of just had to put people somewhere, but they look strong. Someone with Dummy and Loon, I believe. Uh, Seem like a strong team. Sprinkler Stinkler, not the, I think, best performance, but still pretty handed victory. Easy 2-0. Another one of the undefeated teams. They just seemed like pretty solid overall, and definitely a team that I was not expecting to be as good as they are, but they still seem like they are still beatable and shaky at times. The Gauntlet, very good. This is probably the biggest upset we've had so far. Great victory versus Power Friendship, who are looking unbeatable. But after, I think, a really good pick and ban from Neversaw's side, seemed to completely neutralize what POF wanted or could do. And solid victory. It was honestly pretty back and forth. It wasn't clean or anything, but still a good victory. Definitely bounced them a lot. And the Gauntlet's looking very strong overall. Their weak siders are playing pretty well. Rooks and Cream, another crazy bounce back story from like their initial, I think, loss to Sprinklers Tinklers, who's another one of the top teams. They seem to be doing well outside of that. Um, I think their team's definitely coming together. Their mid jungle duos looking really strong. Their bot seems really solid. Top's pretty solid. So I think the top five right now are looking very strong. Six, World Soup Center hasn't played yet, but I still think the Owen Hootie duo, I think, is just an absolute monstrous duo. I think they can win out most matchups, and they should be able to, as we've seen in the past, carry out most games. It doesn't seem like they can carry all of them. I think their weak side players are looking a little too weak at times, but still look strong. Power Friendship, maybe drop them down a little too low, honestly, against the Gauntlet. Again, this week was very hard to rate, 'cause they had the very, very clean performance the last couple weeks. And then looked a bit lost this week, stemming from the pick and bans. I don't know what happened there, but I still think they're a really strong team, though. Elo Surfers, another team that fell quite a bit, but I still think can easily be among the top tier. But just this week, I swear how to put them. I think they had a very, very shaky victory against Summit Admins. I think what happened, it looks like their weak side, like bot and top, just looked extra weak this week, and as well as Sopen, just seeming like still not being able to find his footing with Gumby, and Gumby obviously being like the just 1v9 person is just they got the victory still, but it was not clean by any means. Wall Warriors, another team haven't played yet, but I think I don't know. I think having again your best elo being jungle and ADC is not much synergy there. So while they have like potentially very 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 strong players, um,
They have
I think
Baritol on their team too. That guy sucks.
okay, yep, go top laner. I just find it hard to see them really competing at the highest tier, but I think they're still a pretty strong team. And then this is when I start getting to like that lower tier players. I think Wall Warriors is like the cutoff, and I think the bottom five at this point in time at least is fairly solidified. I think it definitely can change, but at the moment, I think the bottom five. I think we all have the same bottom five as well. So we all
Nope.
feel. Well, yeah,
No,
we're also, okay. Never mind.
I have
And
reasons, of course.
this
but
is
pretty some
the
four of the five though. So you just put your yeah okay. Anyways, but yeah, final boss looks pretty again looked shaky. I would love to see him bounce back this week. I think this week would be the statement week to do it.
Mm.
Um, Alan the Chipmunks, they just look so lost. I don't know, like we comment on their soul laners being their weak points, but I really think if anything it's stemming from their bot lane because despite it's supposed to be their strong point, but it doesn't seem as strong as they should be doing it. They seem just the synchronization, the coordination just seems off. They just seem all out of sync despite I think four of them coming from like the same friendly Discord server, but still they seem like they're brand new players that just aren't able to connect with each other and just I think they have the talent, but they just haven't shown it yet. Pretty similar to McMammals. Um, Another pretty weak showing. I think they're starting to show some signs of life. Nico again, the Nico mid swap was really good. I think bronze or not bronze, the bronze jungler. I went back down, starting to definitely show signs of improvement. Power's showing signs of improvement in ADC, but still overall just really weak. They got a lot to figure out still. Might have big changes in the future. We'll see. And then some admins almost got the victory out against Eel Surfers, which would have been huge, but still, it seems like every time that they are in the lead, it doesn't seem like they know how to convert it or what to do with it. I don't know who their main shot caller is, but it just looks like they have no direction at any point in the game. It seems like they want to like funnel gold into their gold or whatever rank they are, mid and ADC, instead of playing through their like diamond top laner. So also that's weird. So they'll funnel gold into the gold players, but they're not able to carry these fights out, and they just lose games. So it looks like they don't understand any sort of win con or anything. They definitely have some solid pieces, but we haven't seen anything good yet. I think their only victories against Bework Gaming, which leads me to Bework Gaming. Um, Again, the team. I don't know. It's just kind of doomed. Jungle support solid. Like I think same thing as last week. Naki just needs to really show big. I think that's the only way this team can find themselves out of the locked in 14th place that they're at right now. Naki definitely had a bit of a better showing this week, but um, yeah, this team's looking a little rough.
Alberto. Quick, let's
We
wrap
already-
this up.
Oh yeah. So this one, in comparison to everything else, this one is definitely a little bit for the memes. Obviously, Wawa Warriors is the number one team without a doubt. Sorry
Not bad.
to disappoint you
Base.
guys. That being said, not to leak anything in particular, I think that Rookies and Cream earned their second place spot because I know that they got some
They're good.
crazy shit cooking.
They're good.
Karma Jungle, perhaps. That's a thing. Maybe, who knows? Gar's first grade class has graduated in more ways than one. Taking a pretty damn swift lead after just 3 weeks of competition has really shown that this team is a true contender. So there's no question about that. Truth be told, on a real list, they probably deserve higher, but this is what I made. Elo Surfers are like mad chill and like respectable and like a formidable team sometimes. And I'd hope that they make it to the playoffs so I can like play against them and stuff. That'd be fucking tubular, yeah. Power of friendship, more like power over the top side of the map, am I right? Not all the time though. But for real, David's that guy's scary. Some admins, I put them here because okay, I'll come clean.
That's crazy.
Anything related to the Summit admins, I had to put in their places because Steven said that he would send me a scientific device if I didn't do it. So that's yep. Final boss, maybe a serious moment. I truthfully put them here because I think their biggest enemy hasn't been like the scoreboard, it's been themselves. I think that they're a team that, and I hate to use like potential as like a crutch for analysis, but I truthfully think that this team has a huge capacity to get to at least this place in the standings overall. They just really have to kind of crack the code between getting Ryan his I just pooped debuff or buff, and then removing Rob's hunger debuff. That and the fact that Alterus is like 55 years old. Just saying, Ed Sheeran totally clears all Summit bot lanes. Just gonna throw that out there. So name change. 1,000 year dynasty. Say what you will, but this team is showing that they can play the best game of all, undefeated, and that's the mental one. Summoners from all across the land flock to hashtag general chat whenever VLN types literally anything. So be careful. Do not give this team the mental edge, for you will lose to 1,000 year dynasty. The Gauntlet has, I think, something not a lot of people have been able to articulate because they're too blindsided by the Queen of Boredom. Sporadic, my homie, is legit holding shit down in the bottom lane, and I can say that there have been more than one occasion where if he isn't the solid player that he is, never sees the victory screen. McMammals? I guess they're alright. Alvin, they're still looking for the chipmunks. He hasn't found them yet, unfortunately. I think that this team belongs this low, unless, of course, they find said chipmunks. Once chipmunks are found, AATC goes God mode. Beware Gaming, I know you guys can get a victory and get some points. Do not give up. It is not too late. I believe in you. That's why I didn't put you dead last. Sprinklers, Tinklers, dude, their top lane. That's all I'm going to say. Dude, and then with that, with World Soup being my next opponent, I'm excited. I don't know when that match is going to happen.
The reason why we're 13.
100%.
You're actually so cringe.
As I was saying, with World Soup Center being my team's next opponent this week, whenever the fuck that happens, I'm looking to personally put this team where I put them on this list. And that's a call out.
Okay.
What?
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, Owen, good luck, I guess.
Yeah, Owen, good luck in top lane, dude.
Fucking 2 weeks.
Don't get too bored. Yeah,
But,
2 months later.
But yeah, that's all we got, folks, for Power Rankings this week. This was definitely the meme episode, because we definitely had some wrong lists, aka my support lists and Beartail's
and all of Beartail's lists.
And all of Beartail's lists.
I think the mid was good.
The mid
Guys,
was
this will be my first and last time here, so it's been nice.
And,
it's been awesome.
And the special shirtless podcast. So
shirtless stream.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time as I flex our way to the stop recording button.
Flexer, yeah.